Sorry, Glenn, I think I put you on the spot a little bit there. We opened a bit of a Pandora's box up, and it's great to see the dialogue taking place here. We're going to be moving into table topics in a few moments, so I really want to keep the ball rolling. We'll have a chance for more questions and dialogue as we go. Bryce has already pretty well introduced himself. Bryce Gillard is a DFO officer, and Bryce is going to talk briefly about communication and cooperation between DFO and others.
Thank you. I was given 5 minutes to talk to you guys today. I prepared a little bit this morning on the computer, and then the computers crashed. I was able to recover half of it, so I'll be down to 2.5 minutes. I understand there are a couple of questions as well, so I'll go through this here and hopefully have enough time to answer a few questions if I can. My name is Bryce Gillard. I'm the new field supervisor for the fishery officers here in Comox. I moved down here about a year ago. I'd like to thank you for inviting me here as well. Appreciate it. And I'm actually very happy to see this kind of a forum taking place in these sessions. I've been asked to talk to you and sort of reinforce the aspects of cooperation, information sharing, and where to go from here. With regards to the cooperation, something I noted when I first came down to the valley here was the cooperation that I was getting from the engineering staff and the on-site inspectors, both the regional district and from the municipalities. So I was quite pleased at that. When we called, we would do on-sites together. They would come out when we had issues with construction sites, particularly when we were dealing with siltation issues on construction sites. We had some problems with streets not being clean. And very happy to see in these pictures here that I'm not the only one that recognizes the problems that are associated with what we see during the construction phase. We talked a little bit about Brooklyn Creek as well, about crossing cross-boundary areas. Brooklyn Creek is obviously not the only one that we have in this area. We've been dealing with Cocoa Creek, which crosses both Comox and Courtney's area as well. And I've been walking the bottom stretches of Cocoa Creek and up to my knees in the siltation that's occurred down in the bottom end of there over a history of construction as well. With regards to the information sharing between the jurisdictions, it really can't be understated the importance for the sharing of information. What I found, what was interesting to me is when we were dealing with the construction sites and the standards that were put in place by the municipalities and such, there was differences between the municipalities. And a couple of speakers earlier to me mentioned the importance of having consistency for the developers about the information that's provided to those people, the developers, so that they're not going around and shopping for the best deal or the best place to do the business. We're looking for that consistent manner that can take place or for the construction standards. Is there anybody from Nanaimo, City of Nanaimo here? Well, I'm going to plagiarize a little bit from you guys then. This was sent to me, it's a erosion control pamphlet. You recognize it at all? It was sent to me by our staff down in Nanaimo for me to review when we were looking at the standards that were being taken place here in the valley. And you know, these ideas, myself, I've never come up with an original idea, I'll admit it. I've been fairly successful at implementing other people's ideas. And so that's why the information sharing is so important, is to communicate amongst ourselves so we can come up with these standard practices. We look at the photos over here and we take a look at the tracks coming off the construction lot. We're dealing with the town of Courtney last year. They haven't put it in part of their standards is to have gravel beds put down in those construction areas. So we ended up with a lot of this muddy material coming down. And that all washes down into the culverts, of course, or into the catchment systems. And if they haven't been maintaining their siltation control measures, then that all ends up down into our creeks, obviously. So, just looking ahead here a little bit, I want to go a little bit with what we're looking at from fisheries and oceans as well and I'm probably going to be preaching to the choir here with you folks. You know, I've been doing this job for about 17 years, and what I've recognized in my 17 years is the importance of the environment to our cities and to people who live in those cities. And it's, if we take a look at Brooklyn Creek and the importance it is to a group those people who form the Burton Creek Enhancement Society and Associations. My first job with the department was up in Quesnel, and I started Beaver Creek Society, which was an urban stream up in that area, and it became very apparent to me how important these were for the people who live in the community. And we're looking at the long-term viability of these streams. I talked a little bit about during the construction phase and how important it is to regulate that construction phase to make sure we don't have that siltation. But we're also looking for the long-term planning here, and that was sort of discussed at Brooklyn Creek with regards to stormwater management. I'm not an engineer, but I have engineers who tell me when problems have occurred and send me out in that direction. So what I'm hoping here is that we can, that when we're talking about long-term stormwater management, we can talk about adequate size for retention ponds and systems like that. Our preference, of course, is for groundwater input, but if we do have to have retention ponds, we want them to be of adequate size. Our preference, of course, is also to have them offline out of the system, so that we have less impacts into the streams themselves. As well, for the municipalities, if we have our retention ponds offline, then there's going to be a lot less maintenance required for the municipalities as well, because there's going to be less impacts on the streams themselves. We want to make sure that we have that. We have the riparian area regulations, but we want to make sure that we have that long-term viability to maintain those riparian areas as well. I've taken a look at some of the houses around this area down in Courtney, which are built right up alongside the creeks, and we have some erosion issues and things like that. And the public wants to remove the trees because the trees are too close to their houses, and they're worried about that. Well, that's what happens when we allow people to build within 5 meters of a stream bank. So what I hope to that we get out of these sessions is greater than just helping me have less of a workload, which would be a nice spin-off if we do anyway. But if we share the information and standardize the strict construction requirements and cooperate over our cross boundaries, then we'll be able to protect our urban streams, and our environment and our communities will be better